broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Yeah, okay, we got it. Welcome on in, everybody, to the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show. Let's go! It's Homeland, Season 5, Episode 9, the Litvinov Ruse. It's boys' night here in the After Show. Stephanie Garrett is out tonight, either in Chicago right now or midair, flying back to us. So we miss you, Stephanie. Come back soon. But as always, I am Frank Maiorana, your lead host. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. And I'm joined, as always, by Julian Dujarric. Julian, good to have you.
Thank you for having me. You're so gracious. You can find me all across the board on all social media at Julian Dujarric.
And we have a crazy fun episode to discuss this week. We hope you all had a great Thanksgiving out there. Hope the calories have been burned off. Get yourself to the gym if you haven't already.
You're looking a little lethargic today. Are you okay? Have you
lethargic?
Yeah, have you?
Oh, I'm so sad.
Yeah.
Now, no.
What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know what.
Isn't it lethargic? Isn't
lethargic means withdrawn? Like
tired, like full.
Okay.
I was making a bad joke. Let's continue.
It's okay. Let's move on. Let's move into our social media shoutouts, which is how we always like to start our show. You guys can use that hashtag ABTV Homeland to submit in your feedback. Put that out on Twitter or Instagram, or you can always comment on our YouTube page. Each week before we start the show, we go through your comments and we pick out what we think is best and adds the most value to the show. So I like to start always with Twitter, and my favorite tweet of the week came from Daddy Pop. This is at Mr_G_Wiz. He wrote Otto During, and then he put a picture of Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. Just this horrible picture of the most evil character in the Star Wars world. So I love that because that's my ongoing theory that During is a bad guy. But he sent in this picture of the Senator Palpatine with this horrid smirk on his face. So really funny tweet out there, Daddy Pop. Super funny. And then Lois Elfman, our favorite Lois, at Lois Elfman, says, just regarding last week's show, we were talking a lot about Allison's bags. She has a very luxurious taste in her merchandise. And Lois said, don't think it was a 500 bag Allison was buying, more like 5,000. Luxury taste, why she was so easily bought. And I think that's a great point. We saw that again in this episode too. You made a point about the purses.
Yeah, I'm assuming she has more than one purse.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about it specifically what that means.
We can talk about it now. Yeah.
So she's in a certain part of this episode, Saul puts a tracking device in Allison's purse. And I just mentioned, if she has such a nice purse, if she can afford that, what would stop her from buying more than one purse? I don't understand, clearly we see that she seems to like that one in particular very much.
Right.
But I just thought, she probably has more.
It may be a logic hole in this episode, but ultimately they amp up the pressure on her the very next day. So I think with Saul having planted that in her purse, it's logical to say, well, the next day they were going to turn up the pressure, and so she probably was just going to use the exact same purse.
Right.
I don't know how often, this would be a great question for Stephanie who's not here, how often are you switching materials from purses?
I guess it would be the same thing as our wallets, right? Like, how often do you switch wallets?
Yeah, almost never.
Yeah,
I mean, I've had the same wallet for years. So an interesting thought out there, and a great discussion point. So, Lois, thank you for sending that in.
Thanks, Lois.
Finally, I want to talk about a faux pas that we all made as hosts last week, which was we didn't know that Mandy Patinkin is a great singer.
Oh, right. Yes.
My friend Eric Schinzer, who tweeted us at Schinzer, said that he was so disappointed that he hadn't seen Mandy Patinkin sing yet. He really wanted to see Saul sing, and we were all kind of like, what are you talking about? He's just being funny. But the truth is, he's a Broadway legend and has an amazing voice. So Mr. G, this is at Mr. GSF, wrote to us three hosts and said, yes, Mandy Patinkin can sing. And it's this video of him with Bernadette Peters just crooning out there, and he has an amazing voice.
So powerful, just unexpected. Well, I guess I don't know. Is it expected? What do you expect from people?
I mean, for me, who has just experienced Mandy Patinkin through this show, primarily through Homeland, and I haven't actively followed his career from the beginning. To see him singing out there was so cool. I was like, man, this guy is great.
Yeah,
and he's really good. A great voice, almost an operatic voice.
Yeah, for sure. It surprised me only because, like you, I only know him through this show, and seeing him through that lens, it kind of it gives you pause, but in a good way. Yeah. To see him in that light, in the performers, the singers' light, which I mean, he was amazing. He is amazing. It was really impressive to see.
Well, maybe we'll get a chance to see him sing before the season is over, Eric.
I'm sing the credits?
I'm hoping so now that we know that he can. Yeah. So it's funny.
Maybe we should tweet at him. You guys should tweet at him and tell him.
Tell him to sing. Well, it's probably already shot. It's over for this season.
For next season.
But that's it for Twitter. Again, you guys can use that hashtag ABTV Homeland. Thank you for your thoughts this week. Julian, what'd you see on YouTube that you liked?
I saw one in particular that I really loved by Miss Midoriya. She says, really good show tonight, guys. Very insightful. I'll be back next week. So thank you, Miss Midoriya.
We'll take it. We'll take the praise.
And then one that was a little more related to the plot by, I will just call you Rosa. Says, sorry, guys, but with Allison, let's not get soft. She could have gone to the U.S. and reported herself and become a double agent for the U.S., not Russia. She didn't do that because of the $4 million the Russians promised her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And even in this episode, she calls her assistant and has her book a first-class train ticket. Like, okay, like it can't be an economy ticket.
No, that's pedestrian. We don't do that.
Exactly. So each episode has a little nugget where we see Allison's tendency towards, sloth and wanting money and her greediness come out.
Taste for the finer things.
A taste for the finer things, of course, which the Russians are happy to provide. But I want to start just diving into the episode here, talking about Carrie and Saul reuniting at the beginning of the episode.
And it feels so good.
And you had a reaction when they hugged. You said, really? Why were you surprised by that? I was surprised by how easily Saul just embraced her right away, given the recent history and given the fact that we now know that Carrie basically lobbied against Saul for the director gig, and I would think that would be a wound that's so deep that in conjunction with the fragmented, sort of disjointed relationship that they have now, it just didn't seem like a natural reaction. But okay,
I don't know.
I would disagree with you because I think the CIA directorship lobbying by Carrie is so far in the past and was known already by the two characters. So at the beginning of this episode, we get our confirmation that Carrie did in fact lobby against Saul's directorship. So we understand that. But the reason she did that is because Dardal and him made a deal with Hesam Haqqani.
Oh, right.
Right? Yeah. So I guess I understand where Carrie's coming from on that. And ultimately, there was people who tried to come and pull them apart, but Carrie and Saul's bond is still there at the end of the day. So
yeah, it goes to show how deep of a relationship and how intertwined they are, and how much they care for each other. Ultimately, I guess I'm just projecting what I would do. I don't know that I'd be so willing to embrace someone who I have that kind of relationship with.
When Claire Danes starts to get the chin bob going on when she's about to cry, it's hard not to just open up your arms and want to give her a big hug.
Saul, you're a sucker. I'm kidding.
No, well, he's a sucker for Allison, and he got played by Allison, which we will get into right now. The awesome chase scene that we had today where Allison is trying to get away because we find out that the Germans and Carrie and Saul have arranged an operation to trap Allison. A good thought, and from the beginning I would have thought the Germans would not want to do it, given what we saw earlier in the season with the Germans getting caught spying on their own
Right.
people with Americans' help, because German laws don't allow it. So, the Germans were like, well, last time it didn't turn out so well. But ultimately, they did agree to help out, and they have this operation going. But Allison outsmarts them all and has this backup plan, to where when she is caught, she reframes it to Dardal to say, this has been my asset, that I have gotten all this information from him. Of course, this was the plan. And I felt that coming, when they ultimately arrested her, because it felt too easy. There was
Right.
nothing provable in an American court, like Saul said, enough of an evidence that would definitively make it happen. And Ivan is ready to give up. He's
Yeah.
ready to just say, no, what does it matter? We're caught. And Allison says, think. And then she comes up with this amazing story that it was in fact Ivan who was her informant.
I was so waiting for the next scene and the explanation of what that was. What was discussed in those moments right before they were arrested. I was sitting on the edge of my seat, and so to finally, as if it was like that long, it was 2 minutes in between, but I felt like we were just, it was such an intense feeling of just not knowing, because how can I don't know that the asset story that she's telling the CIA is all that plausible, really. Like, I'm surprised they fell for it with as paranoid as they can be, as they need to be to work to have that line of work. I wonder, maybe they're just giving her the benefit of the doubt because she has such a history, but it was a great, because it worked out. It was a great excuse. It was a great sort of alibi, but I would think that after trailing her and utilizing all of your resources, like all of those resources to kind of catch her in the act, that you would still, I guess that's why they're interrogating her, but like I wonder why they are giving her the benefit of the doubt. I don't know.
I think there will be a hole that ultimately Carrie or Saul is able to figure it out to truly trap her. But I had a feeling as this whole operation was playing out that everything was just too easy.
Yeah.
Allison bought the story from Astrid. She debugged her phone, went to a central train station, which, by the way, there's tons of cameras around.
Yeah.
It wasn't particularly hard for them to trap her. And plus, we know that there's 2 more episodes, or there's 3 more episodes to come. So for me, it was all too easy.
And why wouldn't Allison know that she's being watched, at least by someone?
Well, she was, right? So she
Right.
starts debugging her phone. She throws it away, takes off all her equipment, and attempts to get to the safe house and to get out of there.
Right, but yeah, I guess I don't know. It doesn't seem consistent with protocol based on the show. I mean, I'm not a CIA anything,
Right.
so I don't know how it actually works. But based on the protocol that we've seen, like all 4 or 5 seasons, it seems too easy. It seems like very careless for an officer of that level to. I don't know. It seems very haphazard to me.
To what?
Am I crazy? The way like everything from, like, just having, like, when she was on her way to go see this guy, the German, and Ivan, thank you. Russian, same thing. It just seemed very, like, the protocol, given the fact that she knows that she has an idea that people are watching her, and she knows that they can track and hack into cameras and audio devices on phones and things, like, I don't know, it seemed inconsistent with what I would think someone of that level would, like, the protocol that they would.
Well, she moves a lot between different trains. She's attempting to throw off her tail.
Yeah.
Goes down an escalator, goes to one train, then another, then another. She's clearly trying to get rid of any tail that is on her, and then ultimately gets herself to the safe house. But I mean, I'm sure she didn't anticipate that level of surveillance. A drone is on her, multiple teams of German operatives, special, intelligence agents out there tracking her movements. So maybe I don't think she was fully aware of the enormity of the team that was chasing her. So that could be true. But ultimately, she smarts her way out of it and has to be the one the tables turn where she flips and is the one to calm Ivan down, to say, all right, here's how we're going to play it, which was, we were all anticipating after they got arrested. All right, so how are they going to wiggle their way out of this?
I was very surprised. I didn't think that she would come up with anything, that either one of them would come up with anything. It was very quick, and it just goes to show the same thing I said last week. She's really smart.
Yep.
She's really smart.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to ultimately trap her. Now that I think Carrie and Saul overplayed their hand. They didn't have enough to go on. Nothing that's stone cold obvious. But then also remember a couple episodes ago when we saw the flashback scenes about how Yvonne was recruiting Allison. She said that she didn't want to be a traitor and to constantly pass information to him, and she's taking all the risk with none of the reward. And he, in return, said, "We will build our careers together.
Right.
I will give you information, real, actionable intelligence, and that'll help you rise through your structure." And that ultimately was the backstop that is temporarily, at least, saving them from prosecution and jail time. So I love how this show plants seeds in earlier episodes, but then they come out in a different way somewhere down the road. That is what saved them in this scenario so far.
It was something that I didn't expect, for sure. It's just a testament to Allison's brain and how it works.
It's very smart. She knows that she's about to get arrested, and while Yvonne is like just saying, forget it, it's over, we're going to jail, and he's the one to quit, she was on top of it all. So.
And I'm with you. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out in future episodes. I mean, we don't have that many left, but I'm wondering how she'll stay under the radar. Because you can't really... What can Saul and Carrie do now? Because now she's really aware that they're on her tail. So what are they going to do?
It's a question for... the rest of the season, where the plot is going to go now, because all season long we have been waiting for this moment where Allison gets caught and they chase her down and they get her, but there's still plenty of more story to be told before we say goodbye for 2015. They have her in jail, or they have her ready to be interrogated. They have Yvonne as well, and I don't know, there was such a short amount of time that they were able to communicate before they got arrested. I'm hoping that Carrie and Saul can put enough pressure on Allison or Yvonne to play them against each other so that one slips up and reveals the true details of the thing. But it's pretty obvious they're not going down without a fight, and it's going to be much harder than we thought initially.
I wonder if there was a contingency plan between the two of them in case something happens. If we're ever compromised, this is our story.
That could be true.
Because it just seems so quick. Think. Maybe she was trying to say, think of our plan. Think of what we already have in motion.
That's a great thought. I agree with you.
Maybe.
They have to have some sort of backup if they were ever to get made like that.
There has to be. Because if she just came up with that on the spot, she's a genius.
I think they'd have a code name or something like that for their operation, or how they're going to handle getting caught. But I liked that happened that way. I didn't want it to be that easy. Where they get caught and Allison's the bad guy and they figure it out and it's over. And now we're have 3 episodes of falling action, and the resolution has been made already. We still have more to get done, and Carrie and Saul are going to get us there. I'm almost sure that they will.
Almost.
Before we move on to the next topic, I want to remind you guys that you can comment on our YouTube page, subscribe to us there, give us a thumbs up, and also be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. You can give us a review there. I have seen some reviews from previous seasons, from going all the way back to when the show started in 2010. So you guys have been great reviewing us there. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to us, and then spread the word. Tell your friends about us. That Homeland, the AfterBuzz TV after show, is a place to come to for your for your Homeland recap.
Sharing is caring,
Sharing
folks.
is caring. So, back into the episode.
Yes.
And poor damn Quinn. I don't know who he pissed off at the network to deserve that this season.
Yeah.
But every week he's getting beat, stabbed.
I know.
Mistreated.
This guy's resilient, man.
Yeah, and this episode gets really serious because he is the test subject for sarin gas. The jihadis have moved to what looks like to me an abandoned airport building in Berlin. I know there's a famous abandoned airport in Germany where it was in use for like a couple of years and then it was completely abandoned. So it reminded me that they may be there. But they're attempting to create sarin gas. They've gathered all the ingredients for it, and the jihadis are going to use Quinn as their test subject.
Yeah.
So what did you think while that was all going on?
What did I think? You see, I have such faith in Quinn that I didn't go down sort of the rabbit hole of thinking, oh, something's going to happen to Quinn and he's, I'm never going to watch the show again. And as I said...
you did when they were marching him to the chamber.
What did I think? I thought there has to be a way out. There's going to be a way out. There's no reason for this character. I was starting to think like a producer. Like, there's no reason for this character to be off the show.
Yeah.
And then we saw, of course, that he was... the plan to carrying out the plan to make Quinn the test subject actually happened, and we don't know exactly what the issue is. I made a comment when they were pumping the gas into the chamber. I said he's acting, like meta acting, like the character is acting as if something's happening, but then he was foaming at the mouth, and there was a discoloration, or there was like a color thing happening with his hands, like his skin. So then I thought, okay, this might be it. But of course, he was stabbed with, like, I guess the EpiPen with the anti-nerve agents that kind of mitigates that.
Yeah,
the
antidote.
Antidote, yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Yeah, and I guess we just have to see, but I really hope he doesn't die.
I don't think he's going to die, and I will disagree with you. I think he was acting while that was all going on, because Kasim whispers in his ear, maybe you will live, as he gets shot with it. And everything that Quinn was doing was controlled within his own power. So he could foam at the mouth. He could cry. And what he was doing with his hands was pressing up against the bind to cut off the blood flow to his hands. So it enlarged him. It made it look like he was, bleeding or about to bleed, and giving him that discoloration that we saw in the YouTube video that Kasim was watching, which was really horrible to watch. I mean, sarin gas poisoning is, like Quinn said, it's a horrible way to die.
But I would imagine that they would be tipped off to something not really being right.
Who's they?
The jihadis.
Oh, okay.
When Quinn doesn't exhibit the normal symptoms of being gassed by sarin. I don't know.
But remember, they're testing their compound. That's the whole idea for building the cage within this place, is because they aren't experts in creating sarin gas.
Right, and so they don't really know.
They want to test it on someone to make sure that it's deadly. And so they don't really know if they've got the mix right, if they have the right ingredients.
That's fair.
So I think that's where it's coming from, where they need to make it right. And if Quinn can do enough of a good acting job to at least get him to open up the door and he gets out of that cage, perhaps Kasim can help him more than he already has. I do want to give special attention to the Kasim character in this episode. He is helping out Quinn in a major way.
Yeah.
Risking his neck. He was going to try and dump one of the chemicals so that they wouldn't even be able to test the gas on Quinn.
Which wasn't a good idea. I don't think that's the best. I don't think so, because how else? His only option would have been to run.
Right.
So how does that help Quinn?
Well, because they wouldn't have been able to make the gas without that compound.
Right, but
without
I don't know.
that liquid.
I just think...
I mean, they could get more later.
Yeah.
I think your point is that doesn't permanently solve the problem.
Right, I think it exacerbates it in some ways. Quinn's problem of being, I think it doesn't really... what I'm trying to say is I like the plan B.
Okay.
You know, it just makes much more sense.
Yeah. And when they were marching him to the cage, though, I didn't know how they were going to get him out of it. I didn't know how Qasim was going to help him. He just kind of looked at him with tears in his eyes like, uh-oh.
And by the way, do the others not speak English? Because he said run. Qasim was like, run.
Well, he whispered it.
He whispered it?
He whispered
They were in earshot range, though. I mean, like...
That's a good point.
You know?
That's a good point, yeah.
Just a little observation, that's all.
Yeah, I think we're just going to have to suspend our disbelief for that one to say, okay, the other guys didn't hear it. Because he does run, but Qasim knew that he wouldn't get far, that Quinn wouldn't get far, and was able to jump on top of him and stick the shot in him from the right-hand side so that it didn't look like he was helping him at all and said, maybe you will live. That's the best that he can do in that situation. He tried to dump out the chemicals, but it was already loaded into the tanks to be used. So at that point, Qasim really didn't have any other options. But luckily, he figured out a way to help our hero Quinn hopefully stay alive till next week.
Hopefully.
I would be really bummed about.
I would too. He's my favorite. I said he was becoming. He is absolutely my favorite character now.
Yeah.
He's definitely, if he goes, I go.
And all he's doing this season is getting his butt kicked and sick and you know, wanting to kill himself.
I
and
know.
He's just in such a bad spot.
I know.
Yeah. So
Homeland, give Quinn, get him married or something. Give him something good next season.
Yeah, seriously, we
he needs a break.
We need some joy in Quinn's life eventually. So. We're hoping for the best for him. We'll just have to see what happens next week. But back to Dardal and Allison and the whole Saul and Carrie alliance. It's clear now that moving forward, Saul and Carrie will be back as a part of the agency, but also potentially working with Allison. How do you see that shaking out?
I think there will be times in which Allison will seize opportunities to further infiltrate their plans, and because they have already falsely accused her of something, she won't be questioned.
Okay.
And so I'm really interested in seeing, because I feel like, before I say what I'm going to say, I feel like she's going to get caught. I feel like this is just the threat. The threat is just, she's spread way too thin.
Okay. And
I feel like it's happening, but we only have a few episodes left, so I wonder how it's going to play out. I will play out. I just wonder how, because you don't really have that much room. To do it.
Well, and like you said during the episode, you know, poor Saul got played.
Yeah.
You said that.
Yeah.
And it's sad for, I feel bad for Saul when he's watching Allison having sex with just some random guy.
Yeah.
Basically the day after they broke up, and Saul technically said goodbye to her forever.
Right.
In a very melodramatic way. And he was funny about it. He says, maybe I'm being a little melodramatic.
Right.
But the next day she's out hooking up with another dude. I was upset about that. I can understand how that feels, okay? Maybe in college, I was hooking up with this girl, and I saw her at a party making out with another guy. So maybe I know how that feels.
Okay?
Right.
I was going to say, look, the best way to get over someone is to get under someone new.
Oh.
I say this all the time. So, Allison, get it, girl. I'm kidding, of course.
That made me laugh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to keep the train moving.
Obviously, she did. She calls a guy over for pasta and for
pasta and Italian sausage
and a slow dance on the countertop.
Yeah, it was fun. She had a good time. They were. Saul was not having a good time watching, though.
But what was funny about that was Carrie didn't know that Saul and her had hooked up. So she's like, Saul, what's going on?
Right.
With her typical Carrie face.
What's funny though is that both of us forgot that Carrie didn't know, and we were like, "What? Wait, does she expect him to watch?"
Yeah,
and then we realized that she didn't know. It was very funny.
Carrie, why do you want Saul to watch this porn?
Yeah, it's essentially what it is. Oh man,
happen.
A lot of funny moments too, just within the seriousness. I feel like I don't know if that's intentional, but it's definitely it breaks the tension for sure.
It does, and it was a humorous moment, but at the same time, very sad for Saul. He clearly has feelings for Allison, and doesn't want to believe that she is the double agent that Carrie says that she is. By his own admission, he says, "I just don't want to believe it."
Yeah. Because that then shows a poor judgment on Saul's part. So
I mean, your lover, your girlfriend is a mole for the Russians. That's really bad.
That's as messed up as it can get.
That's very, very tough. And of course, we all know as viewers the truth, that she is ultimately the bad guy in this whole situation, which I love because we can be so frustrated when our heroes can't figure it out. I've talked about this several weeks now. I love the way this season is designed to allow us to see the truth, but that our heroes don't.
Yeah.
And because in previous seasons, we didn't know how it was going to end. We didn't know who the bad guy was, and we needed to, come episode by episode to figure it out along with our heroes at the same time that they were discovering the issue. This season has been great, and I think in large part due to the structure of the season.
Yeah, and it's not something, I don't know why, but it's not something that I see on a lot of these kinds of shows with similar story types, whether it be, a Law and Order type show or like FX, The Americans or whatever. We usually, for some reason, Hollywood likes to keep us, the viewer, along for the ride with the characters. I would encourage, or I would like to see more of that storytelling, because it really does invoke it invokes different emotions. I'd rather be engaged throughout than having little pop-ups of surprise in plot branches that we can't really anticipate, which we still can't anticipate when we know what's happening.
Right.
But I feel like the tension is there throughout the entire episode, and when we get those revelations, they're even more effective because we know.
I totally agree with you. I think that's an awesome point to make, to where there are still surprises for us, but they are primarily based on how our hero characters are going to ultimately unravel the mystery.
Because it adds a unpredictability to it. It's awesome.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really liking this season so far. So I did see a funny tweet from one of our fans during the show here that I wanted to mention. It's from my new favorite Twitter follower, Daddy Pop. He said, "Damn, this just isn't Quinn's year, is it?" I mean,
it isn't.
I mean, he's so right. That's a great point. It's been a tough season for Rupert Friend. I hope again, we've talked about that at length. And then one other person just chimed in. This is Carrie Driscoll, at PSU Carrie, said, "They don't actually believe Allison, do they? That would be so disappointing." That one guy injected Quinn with something before he went in the test chamber we knew about. But I think they're going... Dardal believes Allison.
Very much so.
At first, he just asks her questions, but you can see the subtle reactions of Dardal in changing his emotion, and his disbelief starts to grow. He walks into the room knowing that Allison is a mole. And as he sits there longer, he begins to start to doubt that.
There were no follow-up questions. Like, there are no, there's no, like, I feel like just the protocol, the evasion protocol on her way to see her asset, quote unquote, isn't enough. Like, questions along those lines about, why did you take the chip out of your phone? Why did you throw away the phone? I think there are more questions to ask that would put the pressure on Allison to maybe say something that's inconsistent with what she said 5 minutes ago in that same interrogation. I just feel like Dardal, I've come to expect a level of cynicism from someone at that level. Sorry, I can't speak today. I've come to expect a level of cynicism from someone at that level in government. I feel like he just let her off too easy. He easily believed her, and I don't think that's someone that's out of character.
Yeah.
No. What do you think?
I think I agree with you.
Right?
He was
Dardal specifically.
Dardal specifically was easily swayed. By Allison, but she's given information apparently that was passed by Yvonne, and like we saw in the previous episodes, she's making a compelling argument. Now, I think there will be enough holes in what she's claiming that Saul and Carrie are ultimately going to be able to figure out a smoking gun, silver bullet type of foolproof idea that or evidence point that is ultimately going to trap Allison where she can't get out of it.
It will probably be an inconsistency in the story. It has to be, because all of the intelligence that she's shared, that she can say that she has shared, like, she actually has. So I feel like it's going to be it has to be a slip up somewhere or something. I can't imagine what it is. I've been trying to rack my brain, but I can't imagine what it is at this point that will get her sort of, caught. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why we tune in every week, right?
Usually we're pretty good at predicting this stuff.
Yeah. Well,
they stumped us
I thought she
this
was
week.
going to give herself up once she was caught, which
Really?
she still may do when ultimately they get her in the penultimate trap. When she has nowhere else to go. But in this case, she's got a backup plan, like you talked about. So she's cleverly avoided the detection of some of the most clever spies in the world, including Saul, who is probably partially blinded by the fact that he has emotional feelings for her, which were thoroughly discarded by Allison. We see, if anything, we learned about their relationship this episode was that Saul meant nothing to Allison. Because she's hooking up with another guy the next day, doesn't really, she sleeps with him that night that Saul comes back, but there's no true, I didn't feel a desperation from her. I didn't see in her any sort of emotional commitment to a man that she has been told she will never see again.
Yeah.
So it was very much, she was like, oh, you're being melodramatic. I'm never going to see you again. You disagree?
No, I agree with you. I wonder then if that will put Saul in the state of mind, in the frame of mind of being more skeptical of what Allison says moving forward.
Yeah. Because
she was so ready to get it on.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's going to be, when they meet up again, and I think Saul's going to get a run at her, get a run at Allison and say, did I mean anything to you?
Yeah.
I could see that being a Saul line.
Yeah, I can't wait. I just wonder what Allison's retort will be.
Because in order for Allison to keep her cover, everything has to stay the same as it was before she went on this episode where she burned her phone and went to the Russian SVR safe house. She has to convince Saul that she still loves him.
I don't see how she can.
That may be ultimately the straw that breaks the camel's back, but she has to keep everything together. Otherwise, her plan, she can't go to Saul, no, I never really loved you. Well, wait, what do you mean?
So, why were we doing this?
Why were you acting? It would add a layer of suspicion to her. So in order for her to pull this whole thing off, she has to convince Saul that she loves him and is happy to see him again, and she wants him to believe her. Maybe that could be,
I think that probably will be it.
The door that opens up possibilities for ultimately trapping Allison. She texts a guy, I want pasta, the day after he leaves. It's clear that she can act in a way to Saul that is very deceiving. If they are technically dating or in a relationship, I would have to assume when you're at that level, you're not hooking up with multiple people.
Right.
When you're dating someone, and that's kind of your person. Unless they didn't have the relationship talk. We never really saw that happen where they're being exclusive.
That's plausible.
I think they're exclusive.
Okay.
And they've been together for a while. Because Saul goes to bat for her when she screwed up earlier this season. And Saul ultimately saves her neck. And Dardal says, you're awfully friendly today.
Right.
And so he went all out for her. Now, Allison's not going to do the same for Saul. It wouldn't be in balance there.
It doesn't seem, it seems inconsistent. That'll probably be, I agree with you, the inconsistency that kind of puts a chink in her armor that she's built up over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see for sure.
All right, let's move into our final segment of the show, as always, weekly, which is our predictions for the upcoming week for the episode.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay, so we're each going to do two. We have enough time to do two predictions per person with a little discussion. So go ahead, lead us off.
Okay, so my prediction So let's just, before we do that, what are the open possibilities? So we still have what's happening with Quinn.
Yes.
We still, obviously, Allison is a big plot branch here.
Yep.
I think those are the big two.
Right.
So we'll stick with those. So as far as Quinn, I think Quinn, just because I know that they cannot kill him, I think he'll survive this, and I don't know how he'll get out of it. Again, like I don't see an escape route for Quinn. I don't even see an extradition plan for Quinn. Extraction, sure. And I don't really see how he can get out of it, but I don't think he's done for. I think Quinn is still holding on. Like he'll still be here. I know that's kind of like a watery, kind of like shallow prediction, but I just really want him to stick around. And then as far as Allison is concerned, I really do believe that Saul is going to be the person that brings down Allison.
Okay.
Because there's no consistency in this notion that she loves him when the day after he says, I probably won't ever see you again, she's hooking up with another guy. So that is a seed that's been planted now. You could see it on Saul's face.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust her now.
Right.
So I don't know what is going to happen. Like, what is going to be the inconsistency? What's going to be the thing that gives her away? But I predict that it will be Saul who finds that vulnerability.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think we sort of discovered just through our discussion on this show of what was maybe the death knell for Allison, and that is her relationship with Saul. So something that looked advantageous to her initially all throughout the season is going to ultimately doom her in the end. So,
which is typically how it works, right?
Could be, yeah.
Right?
Unless you get married.
Unless you get married, yeah, of course.
Okay, so I will keep the same format as you. I'll make one prediction for each plot line here. A bonus prediction, I am continuing to say that Otto During is a bad guy and that he will... I got to think about Otto During, because I think he's going to have a part to play in all of this before it's all said and done.
Right, because these documents are still at play.
The documents are still in play. We still have got Laura Sutton out there. We still have Jonas out there. So the whole During Foundation apparatus is still available to us. But I don't think they're a force for good. So we're going to have to see what happens with them. Hopefully we get more During next week.
Yeah.
I will say that I believe Carrie is going to be the one to rescue Quinn. She left Quinn while he was hurting in the warehouse with Jonas a few episodes ago and never followed up on where he was. And I think that's going to circle back to Carrie and say, wait, what happened to Peter Quinn? Where is he? How can we rescue him? And I think that is going to be the extraction plan, that Carrie will be the one who's instrumental in taking the lead in getting Quinn out of harm's way there. Quinn's got to get healthy, and I think, Carrie had feelings for him in the past, and she's not someone who just forgets that. Yeah. And I think Quinn ultimately will be helped by her.
Okay. I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. I think he's going to survive through the sarin gas test because of the help from Kasim, and it's going to buy him just enough time for Carrie to swoop in with a team of operatives and get him the heck out of there. As far as Allison is concerned, this one's really got me stumped.
It's hard, right?
It's got me stumped because she has played this so well. So, at this point, they are going to start to work together again. And now, Carrie and Saul don't have the option of using the German intelligence to follow her. If she talks her way out of this, it's going to be extremely difficult to trap her into anything new. So I'm gonna just have to piggyback off your prediction, because I think what you said was really smart. So I will just second what you say, in that she is going to be caught by Saul, and their romantic relationship is going to be the downfall for her. There's simply no other way that I can see. Hopefully the writers surprise us. Yeah. And they're unpredictable in this way. Maybe Otto During has been the mastermind behind all of this the whole time.
That's a bold one. That's a bold one.
Okay, here we go. Here's a bold prediction. Allison and gives up Otto During as the true mastermind behind this whole plan. Otto During is wrong. I am correct for the entire season. I am vindicated, and I drop the mic.
We should do a bet. We should have a bet.
Okay.
To see if Otto During is really as evil as you think.
Okay.
Like if that turns out to be the case, I have to do something. I don't know.
Okay.
And then if that's not the case, I don't know. There's something you have to do.
Let's do this. Okay. So loser has to take a shot of the winner's choosing and pay for it.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that.
So if you lose, which you will, I'm gonna pick a Bacardi 151 shot, and you're gonna have to do it.
All right.
And you're gonna have to take it at the bar over here. Okay.
And if you lose, you will have to take a shot of.
It has to be alcoholic, by the way. It can't be like one of those towel shots where they like squeeze out the dirty water into a shot glass. Okay, good. Of course. That caveat.
Yeah. You have to take a shot of what's worse than 151?
I don't know. Right? It's really bad.
We'll go with 151.
You're gonna have to dream up a worse shot if there is one.
If there is one, yeah. Okay.
That's
deal.
a fun
Let's
bet.
shake on it.
It's a done deal, everybody. That is an official bet. You are all our witnesses. And if you out there would like to take part in our bet and get on my side about things or Julian's side, reach out to us on Twitter. Maybe we'll all take pictures of our shots when we lose and put it out there.
I think that's what we should do.
ABTV Homeland. Cool. Fun end of the show. That's it. That's all for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to our after show. As always, I was joined by my friend Julian Dujarric,
who you can find all across the board on all social media at Julian Dujarric.
And I am Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. Thanks for tuning in, guys. A great week, a great episode. We're looking forward to the rest of the season. Only 3 episodes left.
I know.
Be sure to tell your friends about us on iTunes, YouTube. Check in with us each week. We'll be back same time. Have a blessed week. We'll see you back soon.
See ya.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.